All right, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going on an explosive, chronological journey through the career of football's ultimate big game player. We aren't just looking at a highlight reel of goals today, we're analyzing a literal phenomenon. We're going to break down the evolution of a guy who transformed from this flashy, step-over-loving winger into an absolute unstoppable force of nature right when the stakes were at their highest. So, get ready, because we are mapping out the anatomy of the clutch moments of Cristiano Ronaldo.
I mean, just listen to the sheer disbelief in those words. You've heard it, right? This isn't just one commentator getting excited. It's practically the collective soundtrack of Ronaldo's entire career. Match after match, year after year, broadcasters just find themselves repeating variations of this exact phrase. Is it ever in doubt? It really makes you wonder, how did one player completely erase the concept of doubt from the most high-pressure, nerve-wracking situations in world football? Well, let's find out.
So here is our timeline for today. We're looking at 4 distinct eras: the 2000s early magic at Man United, the 2010s where he reigned as Real Madrid's king, the post-2018 Juventus comebacks, and looking ahead to 2026, his Portugal World Cup quests.
Starting right at the beginning with Part 1, Early Magic at Manchester United.
Okay, so this was the era where the world was really first introduced to his trademark blend of terrifying athleticism and, honestly, an absolute refusal to play it safe. And nothing highlights that mindset better than this number right here, 35. That's the distance, in yards, of one of the most iconic Champions League strikes in history. Picture this. Manchester United are away against Porto. They desperately need an away goal to seize control of the tie. It's the first 6 minutes of the match. Normally, players are just finding their footing, looking for a safe pass to settle the nerves. But not Ronaldo.
This moment perfectly illustrates his early fearlessness. As the commentator shouted, and I love this, "Too far for Ronaldo to think about it." Oh, absolutely sensational. He gathered the ball, looked at a distance that literally any tactical manual would tell you is way too far to shoot from, and just hammered it. He beat the keeper purely for pace. It was a massive statement of intent. It proved that even as a young player, he wasn't burdened by the pressure of a hostile away stadium. If anything, he thrived on silencing it.
Moving into Part 2, Real Madrid's European king.
So, if Manchester United was the introduction to the world, Real Madrid was the absolute masterclass. This is where he evolved from a spectacular, unpredictable talent into a totally inevitable goal-scoring machine on the biggest stages imaginable. I'm slightly obsessed with this quote because it captures a massive psychological shift, the obligatory goal. Just think about what that implies. You've got opposing teams, world-class defenders, elite managers spending weeks preparing for him, stepping onto the pitch knowing he was going to score, and yet they were entirely powerless to stop it. It literally stopped being a surprise. It became an inevitability.
And the truly crucial point here is how this inevitability showed up when Real Madrid's back was against the wall. Let's look at the evidence. We've got the quarterfinals. They're trailing Wolfsburg 2-0 after the first leg. The German side thinks they're in paradise. The dream is on. So what does Ronaldo do? He single-handedly flips the tie with a spectacular hat trick. Fast forward to the 2017 final in Cardiff against this ironclad Juventus defense. Who else but Ronaldo to arrive with perfect timing on a massive night to open the scoring?
Which brings us to this really fascinating dynamic. On one side, you have a team struggling, staring down elimination, their system completely breaking down. But on the other side, you have sheer individual brilliance stepping in to bridge that gap. During this Madrid era, Ronaldo basically became the ultimate tactical override button. When the collective failed, he just had this unique ability to say, nope, flip the script, and alter the entire geometry of the game through sheer force of will.
That takes us to Part 3, the Juventus comeback moments.
Now, he arrives in Turin as a veteran, but the expectations? They certainly didn't drop. Actually, scratch that, they might have intensified. This era was characterized by these dramatic, back-against-the-wall rescue acts and towering, physics-defying headers. Set the scene in your mind. The odds are totally stacked against Juventus. The system isn't working, the team looks completely defeated, the crowd is tense, and then the broadcast lights up. Cristiano Ronaldo has done it again. They bought him specifically for these moments, to be that marquee veteran who could bail them out when literally every other avenue was exhausted.
And honestly, nothing exemplifies this better than that legendary tie against Diego Simeone's Atletico Madrid. Look, Atletico is famous for having one of the most brutal, impenetrable defenses in all of Europe. Juventus is trailing heavily. To survive, they don't just need a win, they need a straight-up miracle. They need a hat trick. So what happens? Ronaldo rises up, hangs in the air for what feels like an eternity to deliver a towering header, and then caps the whole thing off with an ice-cold penalty. In a pressure cooker environment where 99% of players would completely crumble, he delivered exactly what was required.
And finally, Part 4, the 2026 World Cup Quest. So we are looking at a very different era now. The physical tools have naturally shifted over time, but the mental stakes are arguably higher than ever as he campaigns to qualify for a historic 6th World Cup with Portugal. To understand the weight of this current quest, we need to look at a recent super pivotal match against Hungary. The stakes are sky high. A victory for Portugal practically guarantees their World Cup qualification. They're playing in Lisbon in front of this roaring, expectant home crowd. But on the flip side, you've got this incredibly resilient Hungarian team absolutely desperate for their first ever qualifying win on Portuguese soil. You could cut the tension in that stadium with a knife.
Let's walk through the emotional roller coaster of this match. Step 1. Absolute disaster strikes. Hungary takes a shock early lead through this awkward goal by Attila Szalai. The home crowd goes completely dead silent. But then, Step 2. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Nelson Semedo finds a tiny pocket of space, and Ronaldo makes this perfectly timed, instinctive run to equalize. Parity restored. Step 3. He's not done. Right before halftime, Nuno Mendes sets him up, and Ronaldo strikes again to drag his nation from a deficit right into the lead. It feels like the classic, inevitable script is playing out once again, right? But then, Step 4. In the 91st minute, deep into stoppage time, Hungary's Dominik Szoboszlai scores a heartbreaking equalizer.
Look at the stats here, because they paint a really complex picture. Ronaldo's individual performance? Brilliant. 2 goals on the night, taking his total career tally against Hungary to an astonishing 9 goals. He completely did his job. He executed the clutch moments when Portugal trailed. But unlike those prime Madrid or Juventus days, his individual brilliance couldn't entirely mask the team's vulnerabilities this time. The final score settled at a frustrating 2-2.
So, despite Ronaldo delivering once again when his country required it, dragging them from behind to in front, that late strike means Portugal's progress to the 2026 World Cup is put firmly on ice. The perfect record is gone, and their automatic qualification is suddenly hanging delicately in the balance.
Which leaves us with the ultimate question as we wrap up this explainer. We've traced his incredible evolution, from the absolute audacity of a 35-yard strike at Old Trafford, to those inevitable tactical override hat tricks in Madrid, to the physics-defying headers in Turin. But right now, with qualification suspended in uncertainty and the clock inevitably ticking on a legendary career, we have to ask, does the ultimate clutch player have one final defining miracle left in him to reach a historic 6th World Cup? Well, take a look at the history we've just covered, before you bet against him. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning what's possible out there on the pitch.